Today's focus is going to be the applying probability concepts related to geometric probabilities. It's important to make note of a couple of things, that there are two different documents in this assignment. One is a part one and one is the part two, and we're going to talk about each one of those documents to make sure you know how to do this assignment and what to submit. When you're looking at the preparing for the performance task lesson, then what you're going to discover when you get to that page is this link right here. It says click here, and this is going to open up the part one document. Once you have that opened up, you're going to there's the document. You're going to follow through on this document to gather information that you're going to actually list on the document, and recognize that you are not going to submit this document, but you're going to utilize the information for the assignment that you are going to submit. And now, when you are in that lesson, it's important to recognize that right here on page 2 of the 3 in that lesson is where you're going to gather all that information. And we'll go through each piece. So the first part is about creating cartograms. And so you're going to see this list right here. And what you're going to do is you're going to click on each one of those, the blog, the political organization, or the U.S. Census Bureau, and you're going to listen to each recording. They're not very long. This one is 21 seconds. After you have done that, there's this drop-down list over here. You're going to make a selection, and each one of these three is on there. Which one would you use? And once you do that, you're going to click check, and it's going to tell you whether you've chosen right or chosen wrong. Once you've chosen correctly, you now get a new list. And so you're going to do exactly the same thing. Click on each one, listen to the recording, make a selection out of that drop-down list, and then click check. Once you have answered those first two, you now have information for that part one document to put in for your answers for 1A and 1B. Now you are starting to list the information that you've just gathered. So after you've answered 1 and 2, you're going to get to 3, which now is going to give you this drop-down list. And what you're going to do is select each one independently. Once you make a selection, you have to click on View to actually see what's there. Now we're looking back at information from the Part 1 document, and it tells us we want to look at population change. So out of that drop-down list, I'm going to choose the population change cartogram. I'm going to click View, and once I do that, there's what I'm going to see. There's the cartogram. You're going to take a screenshot of that and insert it onto your Part 1 document so that you can utilize this information later. Now it says use the interactive data table, so I am now going to select data table out of my list. Click View again. The data table shows up. There it is. You're going to use this information to answer the question in Part 2B. You want to make note that you may or may not need to scroll up and down on this data table to get the information that you need. And then you're going to actually list the population change for each one of the 2 states, because that's what it's asking you to do. We get to 3A, and it says we want number of births. So I'm going to choose the births cartogram out of my drop-down list. Click View, and then I see my cartogram for births. And this is the screenshot that I'm going to insert on Part 1 document for 3A. Again, I'm going back to the interactive table, so I choose the data table again, click on View, get my table, and I'm going to use this table to gather information for Part 3B, again remembering that I may need to scroll, and so I'm going to get the number of births for each one of the two states listed. Now we get to problem 4A, and it says migration rate, so I'm going to choose the net migration cartogram. Click on View again. There's my cartogram right there, and I'm going to insert this screenshot on 4A. Are we there yet? Well, we have finished part one. So part one document is already done. You've gathered the information that you need. So now we're off to part two. This is the document that you are going to submit for this assignment. And so when you click on the performance task lesson in there, you're going to see this page right here, and you're going to click on that student guide link there to open up the part two document. And so now we're going to talk about the problems on this part two document. So number one says, explain why you chose data sources. And so here's 1A. It says you're going to refer to your answer from part one, problem 1A, and you're going to write a sentence or two to explain the reasons for the choice that you made for the migration and population. Part B, going to do the same thing, except now you're going to refer to part one, problem 1B, and then write your sentence or two to explain your reason for the choice about which option you made for number of births. Problem 2. So we've gathered up all this information. It says you're going to use this map as a reference. It's on the document. Okay. And it says for this one, for A, you're going to look at your screenshot on part 1, 2A, because that's the one related to population change. And so you're going to write a sentence or two to describe what the different sizes represent on that cartogram relative to the sizes you see on a regular map. And then B, our focus is on Michigan. So you're going to write a sentence or two to state what you noticed about Michigan on the cartogram. And then what does that tell you about the population change based upon what you see on the cartogram compared to what you see on the map? We get to 2C, now we're talking about Florida. So now we're comparing, again, looking at that part 1, 2A, and we're going to write about sentence or two about Florida's population change, again, based upon what you see on the cartogram as compared to what you see on the map. And then for part D, it says you're going to refer to the data tables from 2B and 2.3, or 3B, excuse me, and you're going to think about the information that you gathered there, and you're going to write a sentence or two to describe the population change as it relates to your answers in this assignment 2B and 2C that you just completed. We get to 2E, and it says we're supposed to find out the proportions. So you're going to look at your information again from the data table and read this problem carefully, and you're going to show your work to determine what percentage of the overall population increase is in Florida. Make sure again you show your work. All right, we get to problem 3, and this is about number of births. And so this question says, what do you observe about Michigan and Florida? So you're going to look at your screenshot from part 1, 3A, you're going to write a sentence or two to describe the cartogram size of Michigan means about the number of births in each state. Again, you're comparing that to the size on a regular map. All right. For part B, again, you're going to look at your data table, so you've got information. And it says, show your work to determine the percentage of overall births that's in Michigan. And then do exactly the same thing for what percentage of overall births is in Florida. So again, show your work for both of these. So part C, it says refer to your screenshot. So you're looking at your screenshot again. So which one is your choice, Michigan or Florida? Where is a person more likely to have been born based on your information from that screenshot in 3B? And then write a sentence or two to explain, this is why I chose either Michigan or Florida. Okay, part D gives you some information. And it says, show your work to determine what percentage of overall population is in Michigan. And then do exactly the same thing for Florida. And then you're going to state, which one is it? Which one has the greater probability, Florida or Michigan? Okay, part E says number of births in the region depends mostly on population size. That should be obvious. So you're going to look at the answers for 3B and 3D that you just got on this document. And you're going to write a sentence or two to explain if your answers are consistent or not with this idea that the number of births is dependent upon population size. Problem 4 is about net migration. So the first question asks, what does it mean? What does it mean if it's negative? So write a sentence or two to explain the meaning of a negative net migration. And then part B, you're going to look at the information that you got on part 1, again from that data table. Do more people move in or move out of Michigan? How do you know? Do more people move in or move out of Florida? And how do you know? So you're going to provide that information, be specific as you write your sentences for each one of those. And you should, I hope, feel proud of the work that you've done to complete this assignment.